everyone. I wanted to make a short video in response to some of the questions that a classmate of yours has, and I think the whole group might benefit from watching the video, so I'm going to share with everyone. So this first question is about using a tree diagram to show the number of possibilities, and it reads, if you draw a tree to show the number of ways to spin a spinner with 5 regions twice, how many possibilities would there be? I'm going to go to my whiteboard, and please forgive me, I'm trying to use this whiteboard using the mouse because my pen is not working for some reason. So this is not going to look very pretty, but hopefully you'll get the point across. All right, so we are going to spin a spinner twice, and let's say this is spin number 1. Oh, that's going to take way too long trying to use this. So I'm going to just use my finger. This is spin 1, and then this is spin 2. During our first spin, we could land on a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. Then during our second spin, we could still land on those numbers 1 through 5, but it depends on how we construct this tree diagram is going to look like this. So if we landed on a 1 during spin number 1, during spin number 2, we could still land on a 1, or a 2, or a 3, or a 4, or a 5. If during spin number 1 we landed on a 2, during spin number 2, we still have the option of landing on a, I'll draw it this way, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. During spin number 1, if we landed on a 3, during spin number 2, we could land on a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. And this kind of pattern continues for each of the spin, for spin number 2. So if during spin number 1 we landed on a 4, during spin number 2, we could also land on a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. And during spin number 1, if we landed on a 5, we could land on a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5 as well. And then to answer the question with regards to the number of possibilities, it might help if you make a list. And so I'm going to make the list on this side of the screen. And let's say our possibilities are, using this first tree that I have in black, we landed on a 1, then we landed on a 1. Or we landed on a 1, then we landed on a 2. Or we landed on a 1, then a 3, a 1, then a 4, a 1, then a 5. Or we could have landed on a 2, and then a 1, a 2, and a 2, a 2 and a 3, a 2 and a 4, a 2 and a 5. I think you might get the picture, but I'm going to continue and go ahead and finish making this kind of diagram to help illustrate it. All right, so I'm running out of space, so I'm going to make this next set of possibilities in red. Okay, so we could have landed on a 3, then a 1, a 3, then a 2, a 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 5. We could have landed on a 4, then a 1, a 4, then a 2, a 4, then a 3, a 4, then a 4, a 4, then a 5. And then lastly, let me slide this over. We could have landed on a 5, then a 1, a 5, then a 2, a 5, then a 3, a 5, then a 4, and a 5, then a 5. And then to find the total number of possibilities, you'll just add these up. And I think it might be evident to you that we could have done this using one of the rules that your textbook discusses about multiplying. Okay, but anyway, let's go ahead and add these up. So for our first spin, we have 5 options. For our second spin, we have 5 options. Third spin, 5 options. Fourth spin, 5 options. Fifth spin, 5 options. So if we add those up, 5 times 5 gives us 25 different possibilities of how the spinner could have landed. So on the screen for the answer, we would just type 25. There would be 25 possibilities. Really quickly, before I end this video and move on to the next question, let's do a similar question. So this one says, draw a tree diagram to show the number of ways a spinner with 3 regions spun twice. How many possibilities would there be? So let's try to do some critical thinking with regard to the question we just answered and see if we can't draw some generalizations that will help us answer the second question. All right, so in this first question, the spinner had 5 regions and we spun it twice. Okay, so if you notice, because we spun we spun the spinner twice and it had 5 regions, we ended up multiplying 5 times 5 or 5 squared. So in the other example that we just looked at with the previous question that I posed, we would do a 3 squared or 3 times 3 to give us 9 as the answer. Either way you can look at it. Okay, might as well do one more quick example and then I will wrap up this video. So let's see. Let's do a similar question. Oh, this takes us back to the one that we just answered. So I'm going to just type in the answer that we already know. This would be 5 regions twice would be 5 squared or 5 times 5. So we get 25. But let's see if we can't get a similar question. Okay, so if you draw a tree to show the number of ways to spin a spinner with 2 regions 4 times, how many possibilities would there be? We could draw our tree diagram and we would find that we would have 2 to the 4th, which is 16, or 4 times 4, which would give us 16 possibilities. Okay, so please let me know if this video was helpful or if you have any lingering questions with regards to tree diagrams. I'll be happy to make another video or find you some from YouTube and send them out. Thanks so much.